All right. Welcome, my collecting brothers and sisters. I've got a lot to say, so let me get right to it. I think I've had this card for a while. You know what? Let me take a quick look and get right back to you. Yes, I won this card at auction. I believe it was an auction 4.5 years ago. And man, prices have went crazy since then, but that's not, that's not primarily that's not really what I'm here to talk about. That's just incidental, but I absolutely love this card. This is the toughest, by far, no questions asked. This is the toughest Playing Days Larry Bird base card on the planet, and it's not even close. Notice it says SP for short print, 8384 star, number 26, Larry Bird short print. And what a beautiful color match. Star, really just ahead of their time in terms of color match. Now, some people have said that, it's all of the influencers pumping up these star cards, and that's what's made them more valuable. And I say, hey, people talking about them, pumping them up, or just sharing their joy because they like them, of course, that absolutely can popularize. However, I believe that the reason these cards are worth a lot more is on their merit, because they're desirable cards. And people have figured that out. Some people already knew it. Others have figured it out. And of course, a desirable card is all relative. Some people don't desire this card. I feel for them. Anyway, no, I'm just messing around. Anyway, what's the deal with 8384 Star? Well, Star is known for having production runs that were much, much lower than the cards of that time. For example, this set from 8384, notice it says Star 84. That means that this was produced in 84, but it's for the 8384 season. It's estimated there were 3,000 to 5,000 sets that were produced. That's it. I mean, let's just let that sink in. 1984, right? Not 2024, not 2026, 1984. We're talking over 40 years ago. Is that the height of the junk wax era? It's certainly in the quote-unquote junk wax era. 3,000 to 5,000 sets. That is just insane. But it's getting ready to get more insane. And here's why. This was the first year, again, of Star's 3-year license to produce basketball cards. And the first 60 cards in the series included the Celtics team bag. This, of course, is a card from the Celtics team bag, as well as in addition to Philadelphia 76ers, Los Angeles Lakers, and I think a couple of other teams. But let's think about these teams we're talking about here. Boston Celtics, I mean, come on. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, and we're talking about the LA Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, James Worthy. We're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, and we are talking about Moses Malone and Dr. J. These are 3 of the sets in that first series where they had production issues involving a lot of miscuts and ink saturation issues. And so out of those 3,000 to 5,000 cards that were produced, it's estimated that for the first 60 cards in the series, it's estimated 500 to 1,000 copies are in existence today. That's right. Think of this card, 500 to 1,000 copies. Because they didn't release that many of them, because many were destroyed because of they were trying to get their act together, and Star contracted out their printing, but they were trying to get some decent quality. Now, again, you'll find cards that are miscut. You'll find cards with ink saturation issues, that's for sure. So I'd love to see the ones that were destroyed and not released out of those first 60 cards, because I wonder just how bad those issues, I just wonder how bad those were when we consider the following. Here's Dr. J, honored with #1 because the 76ers had won the championship the year before. And of course, this is Dr. J. Now, beautiful, beautiful card. But notice on his cheek there, on his right cheek, our left, his right, you can sort of see some additional ink. Now, you may not realize that. It could seem like a shadow, but that's actually additional ink. And there's some on his arm as well, and even down by the ball. And, unless you know what the regular one looks like, you may not be able to tell. So let me show you, see if you can see the difference there. Notice the right side of his face. You might be able to see this kind of on his arm a little bit too, especially on his shoulder there, side of his shoulder. All right, well, here's one where we will really be able to see it. This is crazy. I paid so little for this, but look at that. Notice his face, his arm, the wristband there. Notice you can definitely see it. A little more ink down here too. You can definitely see the ink saturation issue. Let me show you that. Let me go ahead and show you the back. What about this one? This is, I know this is not a Dr. J video, but just want to spend a minute on this. Now, I don't have any miscuts because I avoided those. This one's kind of toned, but I don't think it's toning that occurred aftermarket. I think that was part of the ink saturation. So this one's kind of toned just to sort of show you the difference again here between, one that's kind of toned, see that sort of brownish tone, and one that is not. And then if we look at the back, now this doesn't have the ink on the face, but it's got kind of the toning. And then if we look on the back, we can see a little, print ink speckles, which I've seen it quite a bit worse. Of course, the ones I bought, I sought to avoid that, but this has just a little bit. And now what about this one? Well, this one is really sweet because it doesn't have the ink saturation issues, and just super sweet. This 6 here, SP again, because estimated 500 to 1,000 of these were released. I mean, for a base card from 1984, that is insane. I've got 5 of these, folks. I know that's kind of crazy, but I was an opportunist and picked them up when the price was right. Probably should have bought more. Maybe I will. Who knows? Time will tell. But that's just to kind of give you a little sense of the ink saturation issues. And, some of those with the ink saturation issues did get released. And, it makes me wonder, like, out of the ones that were released, star cards were generally not well loved at the time. And how many of those were kept in really nice condition, or even were produced in really nice condition, where this 8.5, oh, they tend to be off-center too. The bird does. The bird, a lot of star cards tend to be off-center, but this bird card is almost always off-center to the left. But yeah, I know I'm repeating myself, but think of it. 1983-84 star. We're talking about the Celtics. I thought I better do this. We are talking about the Celtics. There's the 83-84 star Magic Johnson with Kurt Rambis. Here is the back. Beautiful. Look at that purple on the back. Talk about color match. Again, Celtics, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So we're talking about the Celtics. The Lakers. We're talking about the Lakers. Did I say Celtics through all of that? These are Lakers. We are talking about the Lakers. We're talking about the Celtics. We're talking about the 76ers. We're talking about the premier teams here. 500 to 1,000? Base cards, not inserts, base cards. That is freaking insane. All right, where would I like to go next? I'll go ahead and show you, well, I'm not going to show you my new purchases yet. 83-84 star. I will say I wanted to pick up another one of these because the 84-85 star, I've got 5 Larry Bird base cards, and the 85-86 comes in a white version and a green version. I've got 2 of the white, 2 of the green. So I wanted to have a duplicate of this, but I don't know if I'll do that or not, because this has became, you know, quite a spendy card. But I did pick up a couple more 83, 84 star cards, and I'm going to show them to you, but not quite yet. In just a little bit, very soon. For now, we are going to go over a set that I bought 4.5 years ago. So about the same time that I bought this Epic Larry Bird card, and this is the 83, 84 NBA Champions Star Boston Celtics set. And I got the 25 card set from a dealer. Really, really nice set. The bag, you know, not in the bag, it was opened. These 25 cards, this set was in a poly bag, a Star poly bag. This was an open set, but it was $115, and that's exactly what I was looking for. It was a really nice, sharp, clean, fresh, open set that didn't have any wear without spending a ton of money. So let's go through it together, shall we? So this is card number 1, 83-84 Boston Celtics NBA Champs. And this is the checklist. We're going to kind of cruise through this pretty quickly. Game 1, I'll give you a little, actually, let me give you a synopsis of each game. Now, I asked AI, I said, give me game-by-game takeaways. Well, my exact request was, give me the key takeaways from each game of the 1984 NBA Finals. And for Game 1, I thought AI did a really good job here. Game 1, Lakers 115, Celtics 109. The Lakers seized home court advantage immediately behind 32 points from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who played with a migraine. LA's transition offense overwhelmed Boston, establishing a showtime dominance that made the Celtics look outmatched. And that was kind of crazy because I think this was a Sunday, I think, and on Friday, the Lakers had just finished their 7-game series, but Boston had been off since Wednesday, so you would have thought that Boston would be the fresher team. Here we've got a Game 1 card. There's Kareem Skyhook over Parrish. I'll kind of show you these backs just so you can pause and read them if you want. Game 1 again, Kevin McHale. Steal Game 1, Los Angeles wins 119-109. There's the Birdman himself. Now, what about Game 2? Well, AI says Boston evened the series after a critical unforced error by Magic Johnson, who dribbled out the clock at the end of regulation without getting a shot off. Gerald Henderson forced overtime with a legendary steal and layup with 13 seconds left. So here's the deal. The deal is, what an epic series. This might be the most epic NBA series ever, or at least right up there as one of them. Arguably, the Lakers were the stronger team. The Celtics win 2 overtime games and managed to, win the series. And I think that the Lakers never thought they were going to lose. I think they were just totally stymied and mystified. Game 2, there's the Magic Man. Casey Jones with Danny Ainge. Game 2 continued. This is such a sweet set. Boston wins in overtime. They don't win this game, they don't win the series. I mean, unless, who knows, right? I guess, does that alter the future if they don't win this game? James Worthy, God was on their side, and Mother Nature was on their side. I won't be able to sleep tonight. The game should have been ours. This was very, very frustrating. All right, what about Game 3? AI says Lakers 137, Celtics 104. So the Lakers just blew them out. They handed Boston the worst playoff defeat in its franchise history at the time. Magic Johnson set a finals record with 21 assists. Dang. After the game, a frustrated Larry Bird publicly labeled his teammates sissies to spark a more aggressive response. All right, so Game 3, McHale guarding Kareem. So things are looking good for the Lakers after Game 3, even though they had that really disappointing Game 2 loss. They're still thinking, you know what, we're going to win this damn thing. That's a beautiful, beautiful card right there. Robert Parrish right there trying to guard Magic Johnson. before we get to game 4, again, back to the quote. Larry Bird, a frustrated Larry Bird publicly labeled his teammates sissies. Sissies! Okay, here it comes. My new 83-84 star cards. Are you ready? This is Sissy McHale. Woohoo! The American Grading Company, Sissy McHale. This is a tough card. It was in the same poly bag as the Larry Bird, of course, the Celtics team bag. What a beautiful card. By the way, if you see just a tiny bit of white on the corners, that's not wear. It's just, that was so common with this set, just the way they, cut the cards. So this is actually pack fresh mint card, minty green card. And there's the back again, that beautiful, beautiful color match. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get myself another. I'll be right back. All right. So there's Sissy McHale right next to Sissy Bird. By Bird's own admission, guess what's coming next? That's right, folks. Sissy Parrish, the Sissy Robert Parrish. 00, the Chief. And by the way, this dude was called the Torture Chamber because he had this insane number of post moves. It has been said that in a single game, you may not see the same post move twice from him. So why torture chamber? Well, because other people trying to guard him felt like they were in a torture chamber. That's just crazy, man. Crazy. And here we have the Chief in a gem mint 10. Oh, man. 00. I think that's probably about the coolest number. Not just 0, but 00. So yeah, I said to myself, hey, I would love to have a second Bird from this epic set, 83-84 star. And, if that never happens, I'm super stoked. I'm blessed to have the one that I have and grateful to have it. And maybe it'll happen, who knows? But in the meantime, for a fraction of the cost of a Bird, I got both the McHale and the Parrish. And here we have it, the big 3, their toughest base cards by far. By far, I tell you what, to me, I'd rather have these cards than their rookie cards. You've got the color match. What an epic season. Usually rookie years are not the epic years for players. And, what an amazing, NBA Finals. And let's move on to game 4. So what does the internet, AI, have to say about game 4? The series turned violent and physical. Kevin McHale famously clotheslined Kurt Rambis on a fast break, which many credit for rattling the Lakers' finesse-based offense. Bird hit a clutch jumper over Magic in overtime to seal the win and tie the series. Now, here's the deal. So another overtime victory. So the Celtics win the 2 overtime games, and this was at the Forum in LA. Of course, the Celtics had to have one there after they lost game 1 at home. Was it 1 or 2? Let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, after they lost game 1 at home. And now I don't think the Lakers were rattled. I think actually what happened is the Celtics woke up and said, we're just going to play a more physical style of basketball. And that, that arguably made the difference. So, or we're going to get more physical. They were already probably more physical. They certainly out-rebounded LA significantly. You could say that was the difference, but I think they just, took it to the next level in that regard. All right, game 4. Back to the Celtics champ set, star 84. This card has gotten kind of spendy. And understandably so. I mean, look at that. Bird and Magic wrapped up. Yeah, this is one of the most epic cards. How cool is this? You know what's cool about this 25 card series here is they were giving us action shots. They were telling us about the game. This wasn't just, let's market some cards. This is showing us game action in full color, beautiful cards. Now, the next year, the The Lakers won, and they got their own Lakers champ set. I have that set as well, and it had Lakers colors, but because the Celtics won, this one has Celtics colors. I don't know if any Lakers looked at this set and said, damn it, those colors. Maybe they didn't pay any attention, probably not. But yep, if you won, you got the colors on the set. I think that's pretty cool. We're still in Game 5 with Mr. Larry Bird. I hope I showed the backs of every single one of these. I think I did, but you know, sometimes I can miss something. That is for sure. So number 12, number 13, number 14. We got another one on Game 5 here. We got Pat Riley. Yeah, Game 5, the Heat game, where, by the way, Larry Bird just took over, man. 34 points, known as the Heat game. Oh, maybe I didn't talk about... here's one more Game 5 card, where we've got Kareem with his goggles. So, yeah, Boston really came out and dominated, ultimately in Game 5. Let me read about Game 5, the Heat game, known as the Heat game. Temperatures inside the Boston Garden reached 97 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it was like maybe, 10 degrees cooler outside or thereabouts, which is just crazy. Due to a lack of air conditioning during a heat wave, the Lakers struggled in the oppressive conditions while Bird thrived with 34 points and 17 rebounds to give Boston a 3-2 lead. Man, oh man. I guess afterwards Larry Bird was like, hey, we used to play in heat, or I'm used to playing in heat, so maybe he was more acclimated because he played in the Garden. But anyway, Bird comes up in Game 5 and just dominates. Well, we're moving on to Game 6. What does AI have to say about Game 6? LA forced a deciding 7th game back in Los Angeles, so the Lakers won Game 6, 119-108. The game remained chippy, highlighted by James Worthy shoving Cedric Maxwell into a basket support. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar led the Lakers with 30 points to even the series. Kareem was a beast in this series. I wasn't following it at the time, by the way, but, I was a couple of years out of high school. I was in the Army, focused on other stuff. But anyway, Kareem was an absolute beast. Game 6, look at that. We've got everybody. Cooper, Rambis, Parrish, and Kareem. Maybe that's not quite everybody. And then continuing in Game 6, what a beautiful, beautiful shot of Kareem there. And continuing with Game 6, I think that's Dennis Johnson going up against Kareem. And then before we get to Game 7, what does AI have to say? Again, a sweltering Boston Garden, not quite as hot as Game 5, though, the last game back at the Garden. Cedric Maxwell led the Celtics with 24 points after famously telling teammates to hop on my back. I believe Bird had 20 points in that game. Boston out-rebounded LA 52-33 using superior physicality to secure the title. Larry Bird was named Finals MVP. Game 7, the Kareem skyhook. And Game 7 continued. And there we have it, world champions 111-102. Boston 111, LA 102. And you've got Red Auerbach there, who's just, he said during this, awards or the championship presentation, he's like, hey, what do you mean Lakers dynasty? We're the ones starting a dynasty here. Well, he knew something about dynasties. There's your prior Celtics champions, although 83-84, I guess it was kind of prior once they made the set. And, oh, I love this card. This is such an awesome card. Championship Series MVP, Larry Bird. There he is. Look at that. Look at all that sweat there, all that hard work. And now he can answer questions. And probably a lot easier to answer questions when you've won than when you've lost. And I think this is a really cool card too. The last one in the set shows the old Boston Garden there, the road to the title. They had a couple of 7-game series. Yeah. Well, let's talk about these big three. So again, Larry Bird was named NBA Finals MVP. He averaged 27.4 points per game and 14 rebounds per game. That's just insane. 3.6 assists per game, 2.1 steals per game, 1.1 blocks per game. Robert Parrish, the Chief, he had 15.4 points per game, 11.4 rebounds. Kevin McHale had 13.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds. So obviously they all contributed big time. And the thing is, the way the Celtics played, even though Larry Bird was, the superstar there, like everybody, I think, sacrificed. McHale could have gotten higher stats. Bird could have had higher stats. Parrish could have had higher stats. They played as a team. And let me go ahead and show you this card. Now, this is from the next year, from the 84-85 season. So it says Star 85, produced in 85. This is honoring Larry Bird as the 1983-84 NBA MVP. So he was regular season MVP as well as the finals MVP. But then also this was the first of his back-to-back-to-back regular season MVP. So this was put out the next year. This was the last card in the Boston team bag from the next year. Thought I should show you this. I've got 5 of these in various conditions, but this was card number 1 in the set honoring Larry Bird after they had won the championship the year before and he had been the MVP the year before. So this was the first card in the 84-85 Star Celtics team bag, and then number 12 was the last card honoring his MVP for the year before. So this card would have been on top. You could see the front of it in the bag, and this card on bottom, you could see the back of it in the bag. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I thought this would be a like a 10-minute video, and it's practically a half hour, but what's new? All right, so yeah, kind of a mini completion, which I love. I love that. I love these mini completions, but yep, I had this epiphany. I thought, man, I'd love to have another Bird. And then I realized, hey, it's gotten so expensive now that maybe I wouldn't love to have one so much. But I thought, heck, why not get the big 3? These just came in the mail today. So why not get the big 3? They had a later big 3, I know, with Paul Pierce. But this version of the big 3, I mean, really, really tough cards for base cards. Incredibly tough cards for base cards. That's part of what makes 83-84 Star so special. And what a special year for the Boston Celtics in these big 3. A year when, it looked like the Lakers were probably going to be, and the Lakers did end up with a dynasty. And I guess you could call, well, of course, the Celtics are kind of the definition of dynasty, but, from years prior. But I guess you could call what the Celtics did with Bird, a little bit of a dynasty. At least they won 3. I don't know whatever the definition of a dynasty is. But yeah, that's a year where, the 80s defined by Celtics and Lakers, at least the NBA. And that's a year where, the thought was that it was the Lakers' year to win, but a hard fought series. The overtime games go to the Celtics, and what a set too! What a basketball set that year, and the cards of the big 3 from that set, from that epic year for the Celtics. Let me turn this camera around. Thank you for sharing. Let me get some bit of light here for this. There we go. Yeah, a little bit warm here today, so got the tank going. I've got to flex. I'm showing my flexing here since I showed a couple new cards, although you could get these. You could get this Super Chief. If the Bird is too spendy for the budget, you could get a different Bird. You could get this Super Chief. You could get this Kevin McHale. This was under $50 in a minty fresh 9. Ooh, yeah. Thank you for sharing in my joy. I hope you had a wonderful and peaceful time in the Vintage Sanctuary. Take care, my collecting brothers and sisters.